What's going on, everyone? Jeremy, Unsleeved Media here. I actually wanted to talk about two separate issues that came up today. One is the price gouging on the Challenger decks, and the other is actually a pretty interesting little slap fight between Card Kingdom and Cool Stuff Inc. There's a bit of a crossover because Cool Stuff Inc. Was what led me to the story on price gouging, and then I just happened to come across the product stealing. So, first of all, there's been a lot of uproar, a lot of rabble about the Hazoret deck selling for over MSRP. From what I can remember, the MSRP on Challenger decks should have been $29.99. And the cost to most local game stores is about $14, $15 each. So a nice little margin for them, a fair margin, I think, when you have to include, obviously, overhead and everything else. A lot of times the difference is these big online outlets, they don't have nearly the overhead, and they also have a lot more purchasing power. I saw a screenshot earlier today of Cool Stuff Inc. selling the Hazoret deck for just an absurd price of $49.99, $20 over MSRP, more than 50% over MSRP. And it's absurd to me. And I didn't want to just dump on Cool Stuff Inc. because when you look, we have Cool Stuff Inc. selling it for $49.99, which is totally absurd. We have Star Shitty Games out of stock at $39.99. And then we have Magic for Her Card Kingdom out of stock at $39.99. So everybody was selling that deck above MSRP. Most of these people, Card Kingdom, what's interesting is they're out of stock at $39.99, but somehow magically have them in the 4-pack. Here's the thing. They don't come as a 4-pack. They come individually packaged. So you magically have these left. You have them. So why can't you part it out and sell it here? That's an interesting tactic. Here we see the Challenger decks here, though. $29.99, $39.99, $29, and $29. So full MSRP. And then we can look at Cool Stuff Inc. and they're blowing out the lesser popular decks at below MSRP, 24, 21, 24, just to get rid of them to make their big money on the Hazoret deck. Curiously, again, they have plenty of 4-packs where you're paying $109 each. So why does this happen? Well, greed is a thing. It's something that's easy to get angry about. But I actually think it's a little bit deeper than this. At the local game store level, and a lot of local game stores have been called out as selling these over MSRP. And part of the problem is local game stores have to buy sets of 4 at a time. They get like display cases, which has 2 of each. So if a local game store could sell 100 Hazoret decks, they can't order 100 Hazoret decks. They have to order 50 displays, which come of 2 of each. So they end up getting stuck with, 3 times the amount that they need. 3 times the amount. What am I talking about? So if you buy 100 Hazoret decks, you get 100 other jank decks that you didn't want. In fact, you'd have to buy 50 displays, which would give you 150 of the decks you don't even want. So this is a problem. This is a problem that isn't necessarily greed related, right? Because local game stores kind of get hosed here. I think this is a system in place that is not set up for us, the customer, to get the best deal. Now, when they go so far, like Cool Stuff Inc. did, where they're charging an absurd amount over MSRP, it becomes hard to justify, especially when I was forced to buy my Challenger decks from Walmart, where they had these for $31.98. I could have bought them completely out of the Hazard deck, but I didn't want to do that. I think that's kind of a shitty thing to do. So there's some amount of greed. There's also some amount of an issue with the way local game stores have to buy this. To buy one Hazard deck, they have to buy 3 other decks they don't want. In fact, to get one Hazard deck, they have to buy 2 and get 6 decks they don't want. So if they wanted to buy 100 Hazard decks, they'd get 600. Now I finally did the math right, I believe. 600 other decks that they don't want. This is something that Wizards has to fix. I get the idea of displays, but you can't ignore consumer demand. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the slap fight going on between Cool Stuff Inc. and Card Kingdom. Let's see what we have. This is somebody who who is not a fan of mine, so I definitely, in fact, I tweeted some shade, and then I deleted it because I was like, you know what? Just because this guy is a tool doesn't mean that what is going on here is unworthy of being covered. So we actually have the Cool Stuff Inc. coming out. You see the Card Kingdom rookie decks. Now, these were, quote, developed by Justin Treadway. Again, neither product is worth buying. They're both ways to sell bulk to players, cleverly branded as a new player deck. There is a market for them, clearly, and Cool Stuff Inc. had the bright idea of putting these out. Hilariously, they're basically a complete ripoff of the Card Kingdom product. Why you'd want to rip off, in my opinion, a junk product, I don't know. I certainly would rather you take a product and make it better. That's just me. You can see here, 2 years ago, I designed decks for new players. Simple, easy to learn, blah, blah, blah. Sure, right? But we see new player deck versus rookie deck. They even ripped off the look and feel, and the deck is clearly paraphrased is a good way to put it. You also see they ripped off the inserts inside the decks. Here are his decks. Here are his original inserts, right? Very Card Kingdom feeling. And they just took the exact same thing. Here they are with the inserts about abilities, and they just took the exact same thing. They barely even changed the wording. They even skipped the upkeep steps and mentioning auras, which is what they did originally. So this is basically a complete gank of a product from one company to another. Now, it's kind of it's a funny thing to me because I dislike both companies greatly. But it's pretty sad. It's a pretty sad state when you can't even be bothered to try and improve a single product or a product at all. You just gank it. But in a world where we reward net decking, and net decking is, this is the world of content that these websites put out. Here's a deck tech, buy our cards. Here's a deck tech, buy another card. I don't know why you would expect anything less. In fact, it's probably a compliment. This whole idea that Justin Treadway came up with the idea of selling bulk cards to players, to new players, as unique. It isn't unique. The idea that Justin Treadway has a patent on new player decks is also absurd. Wizards of the Coast has been giving these things away at local game stores for years. So let's dial down the righteous indignation, Justin, just a little bit. Your idea was not unique, and it's not even good. But I will grant you that basically ganking your exact product and your marketing materials is pretty shitty. And I can't recommend buying them from Card Kingdom, and I wouldn't recommend buying them from Cool Stuff Inc. either. It's just funny to me, a little drama between companies. I think, again, everyone would be better off not buying them in general. But, I thought it was worthy of covering at least a little bit so we could share a little bit of a goof, a little bit of a gaffe here on my birthday. And I hope on this day of my birth, in which I am now closer to 40 than I am 30, I hope to celebrate another many future years with you here on YouTube. As we continue to grow and diversify the content, and I look forward to covering some of these other games behind me again soon. And I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to be notified the next time I upload a video, make sure you subscribe and take a moment to turn on notifications. If you want to support the cause of this channel, it survives because of the amazing generosity of those that choose to back me on Maker Support. The link is in the description, and hopefully you'll consider backing today.